to the final GOP presidential primary debate of 2023. We're going to talk about our college campuses, starting with you, Ambassador Haley. House Republicans yesterday hauled elite university presidents up to Capitol Hill to answer for the displays of anti-Semitism on college campuses. These leaders, including the president of Harvard, were asked whether calling for the genocide of the Jews would violate school policies against harassment and intimidation. All of them said it would depend on the context, including whether that speech veers into conduct. How do you think these schools and the rest of society should balance the imperative of free speech against the need to prevent radical activists from harassing and intimidating others?
It was disgusting to see what happened. You know, if this had been the KKK that was doing protests on those campuses, every one of those college presidents would have been up in arms. This is just as bad. The idea that they would go and allow that kind of pro-Hamas protest or agree with the genocide of Jews and try and say that they needed context on that, there is no context to that. This is what we need to do to deal with it. First of all, we have got to get foreign money out of our universities. You've got Arab money, you've got Chinese money, you've got others. We need to go to every university and say, you either take foreign money or you take American money, but the days of taking both are over. The second thing we need to do is Biden made a mistake not including anti-Zionism in the definition of anti-Semitism. If you don't think that Israel has a right to exist, that is anti-Semitic. We will change the definition so that every government, every school has to acknowledge the definition for what it is.
Just waiting on money to get on.
We do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why. For every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok every day, they become 17% more anti-Semitic, more pro-Hamas based on doing that. We now know that 50% of adults.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yo, I just got to the crib. Are you live right now?
Yeah, I'm live right now. I had let you in the studio, then you went out.
Oh, I just moved. I'm about to get back in there. I was like, I didn't know if you was live for real. I didn't want to ask you that in on live. That's why I got off too. That's why I messaged you.
Yeah.
Why you live right now? You by yourself?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be in like 9:15, and then it was getting late. So.
Okay, I got you. All right, I better jump it down.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll add you in. All right, y'all. I got money finna join me real quick here. Jadarius may jump in, Panthers Den, but we'll run it how we'll run it. Hello?
I'm here, bro.
There you go. All right.
What's going on?
All right. Not much, man. Finna jump into this article. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Good evening, Panther fans. Welcome to a very special edition of the Four-Man Rush. I'm your main man, Kevin Avery, a.k.a. 4MR_Country Kev. And as always, I got y'all favorite. I got Monty Fetty with us, a.k.a. Westside. Is it Westside Fetty or Westside Monty? Which one is it?
Westside Fetty.
Westside Fetty. Okay. Make sure I got it right. We're coming to you guys today because I call it a very eye-opening article was dropped that kind of revealed a lot of our speculations as fans as what was the dysfunction going on behind the scenes. Like, why is this team just looking like way worse than the talent that it has? And it was dropped early this morning It was an article here that was put out by both of the Athletic, Joseph Person and Diana Rossini. And man, bruh, Monty, when you first read this article, just overall, like, what was your initial thoughts? And we're gonna jump right into certain parts of it.
I mean, it just confirmed that everything that we thought. I feel like it's just there's dysfunction in this, within the actual organization itself, and it starts at the head with David Tepper. And I think that just further drives home. And to me, it was just the nail in the coffin that I think we all kind of knew, but it is baffling just how bad it is. It's that was my first thought. Like, it's honestly comical. Like, yo, you got coaches and other personnel going to the owner and going behind other back coaches' back to express how much they're not happy with all of it's bro, it doesn't make sense. We're talking about Pop Warner football stuff now. You're talking about stuff that when your kid first start playing football, this is stuff that you're talking about, not in the professional NFL league, professional team at that. So it's funny. It's it makes you angry, but I feel like we all kind of knew it was bad in that organization. We just didn't think it was. Nobody thought it would get this bad or this comical, and here we are.
Yeah, man. I was literally shocked. I was just like, wow. I was actually reading this while waiting at the DMV this morning. Obviously, at the DMV, you got plenty of time to read because you're gonna be waiting. But man, the first few paragraphs of this article really wasn't nothing that we had known. They just kind of setting up the backdrop of everything, and it got interesting to me, Monty, as I'm scrolling here. Apparently, it was where things started to hit the fan was the Tennessee game, and everything that led up to that. Now, before I get in that, I'm going to get to this part right here that says the Athletic spoke with more than 20 Carolina Panthers coaches, players, and other league sources, some who were granted an amenity so they could speak freely. They painted a picture of dysfunction inside the Panthers offices, with assistant coaches undermining other coaches, as many went into self-preservation mode when it became clear that Wright's days were numbered. It says here, team sources described a Hunger Games culture at Bank of America Stadium. Coaches said they believed other staff members were text messaging Tepper behind Wright's back about the issues they saw with the team. In one instance, general manager Scott Fitter and an offensive coach went to Tepper with a coaching suggestion for the quarterback. Bruh, anybody that's seen the Hunger Games know exactly what that is. Like, I mean, like you said, man, it just seemed like, grown-ups, tattletelling on each other, don't it?
Yeah, like, and it's and again, it just doesn't make sense in my opinion, because at first you came in, this was supposed to be an all-star cast. The whispers were coming in very early that maybe be just too many cooks in the the kitchen there, and here we are now. Lo and behold, that's actually true, and guys are going back, and one half of the staff like Bryce, the other half of the staff doesn't. Somebody's that bro. It's high school shit that we talking about now, man. That's just the best way we can explain this high school shit that we're talking about, and it's goofy, man. And it's sad that that's what we're talking about when we're talking about our favorite football team is coaches going back, reporting back to the the owner. Maybe we can do this with it's stupid, man. I don't even know the right words to explain it, just because it's like, dude, this is what we're talking about here in the middle of the football season, and we got 5 games left to play. We got 5 games left in the season, and we're sitting there talking about after coaches getting fired, one coach didn't want the QB, and it's dumb, man. So it is very sad to see. It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even the fact that this is, we're playing a hated divisional rival this week in the New Orleans Saints. Like, fans ain't even, really talking about that. Because records go out the windows when division rivals play. Because, watching them Watching the Saints play the last few games, I haven't seen nothing really impressive about them to have me not thinking we got a chance against them, man. But we just keep getting our own way. But yeah, man. I mean, this article was just literally just one, wow moment after the other. Says here that days before Thanksgiving, with the team spiraling and Young getting pummeled, Tepper told Wright to fix the rookie's footwork. Fitter and others had told Tepper that Young's feet were the cause of some of the Panthers' protections issues. They believe Young wasn't dropping back deep enough on his pass sets. Monty, when I read this one, I was like, okay, Tepper has said he's not smart.
What does that even mean? No, I mean just going off what you said. Like, what does that even mean? Like he doesn't drop five. So in honestly, what you're saying is, so he drops further in the pass set and to further put himself in position to get sacked. Because the further you drop in the pocket, or the further you drop in the set, the more times you put yourself at risk to get sacked. On top of the fact we can't protect him. So I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense. And you got multiple different coaches. You get multiple different reports from multiple different sources saying one coach felt this way, another coach felt this way, and it's all bad in Carolina right now. And until you get a stable foundation in your front office, and you got to get Fitter out here as well. You got to fire that man as quickly as possible. So until you get a solid foundation, bro, we're gonna be struggling, man. And it's sad to see.
Yeah, and one thing Tepper has said repeatedly in his press conference, one of my strengths is I know I'm not the smartest man in the room. So with that being said, what made Tepper be that? I have to mention something about Wrights. Bryce Young's footwork. Like when I read that, I was like, what?
Right.
Right.
Like where are you on your QB scale to where so you can judge the footwork of Bryce Young, David Tepper. Like, right. It just
I'm believing he was fed some information, because you've been out to practices well before this happened and you didn't say nothing about footwork then. It's the same footwork he had all year. Plus, Monty, one of the biggest complaints we have is the fact that we're always in 11 personnel, always in either shotgun or pistol.
Absolutely.
Where he's already 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage,
exactly.
And now he's dropping back even further.
Well, and take it a step further. They were the first report was, earlier this year, the report was that they're not running more, 12 personnel, because he's scared to play under center. So it's like, so that was also the report, so it's just funny, bro. It's just, they were just saying he's now, the report is he doesn't drop too far in his set. At first it was he couldn't play under center. Is in another 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be another story, that I guess is coming. I mean, but it all boils down to David Tepper. David Tepper opened the door wide open for speculation. Literally said, y'all can speculate all you want to. And here we are a week later, and we've had 3-4 reports later saying, well, this is what happened. David Tepper literally opened the door and say, hey, well, I'm firing Frank Wright. I'm not really telling you what happened, but you can speculate all you want. And this is what's happening. So David Tepper, until David Tepper get his head out his ass, dog, I don't know what to say, bro.
Yeah, man, they're making it hard. Fans done created a fans portal to transfer other teams. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
right.
Crazy. But there's one part I'm about to read here. This is one thing I don't like about now. I don't keep up with what other owners, head coaches do. I just never heard this, but it says Tepper's instruction about Young's footwork came after weekly conversations between Tepper and Wright on Young's development and early struggles. Now it's been confirmed that every Tuesday after a game, Wright has a meeting with Tepper, assuming to go over what's going on. I've never heard of that, of coaches having weekly. Now, I know that they meet with the owner periodically, but every single week, I'm not a fan of that.
And to discuss football, activities with the owner, that's not heard of. I don't even think Jerry Jones does that, So it's like, it just
right.
And to make no mistake about it, Jerry Jones is somewhat of a football guy, like David Tepper isn't. So, so it would even make a little more sense with David Tepper with Jerry Jones versus David Tepper, because David Tepper is not a football guy versus Jerry Jones being one. But yeah, I just I think David Tepper wants to be in so much control of trying to win, and make no mistake about it. The reports that they say that they believe that he really wants to win and he's really trying to win. I do genuinely believe that he very well is trying to win. I think he has no way or no clue of how to put himself in a winning position, and he's trying so hard to grasp at or take control over something that he has no understanding of how to take control of. So it's. Yeah, man, we're up shit's creek until I can't say it enough, man. Until David Tepper finds a solid foundation for this team, and starting with your general manager, because he got to get Scott Fitter up out of here, and starting with your general manager and the head coach. Until that happens, the worst thing that the worst thing you can see is Bryce not going to really truly develop. But I mean, we're never going to see. We're on year 6 and we haven't had a winning season. I don't see it. We could be on year 10 and not have a winning season the way we're looking right now if we don't find another general manager and head coach. So.
Yeah, man, I think one of the biggest struggles with Tepper is that he got so much success, as a hedge fund guy, that he's convinced that the same type of tactics that work to make him successful there, off of analytics and stuff like that, numbers, charts, that's not going to convert over to football.
Absolutely.
So and I just think that, like you said, I think his heart is definitely in the right place. He truly, truly wants to win. I would never take that away from David Tepper. I mean, he put up the bubble at the stadium.
Right.
He was willing to jump right in and bring a brand new facility, stuff that we had asked Jerry Richardson to do for years. And he just kind of, he was okay with the team practicing at the Charlotte Merchandise Mart whenever it rained. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but Jerry Richardson was a football guy, and I kind of, mind you, I would never justify anything. I'm not pro Jerry Richardson, whatever. But it's just, Jerry Richardson was a football guy, and
he played.
And to the very least, he knew how to keep us competitive. He knew how to keep us at least average. And that was the thing. And that was always the thing with under Jerry Richardson. We may have never consistently been above average. Because I feel like there was first where we were elite and then above average, but we would never work consistently at that level. But we were always like average, always kind of the 20s. For league wide, where we rank now, we're in the, if not bottom 3, we're 32 of 32. So and we've been consistently in the bottom 3. I feel like since David Tepper's really been in the owner. So it's yeah, man, yeah, Kev, I'm gonna have to cut up out of here shortly, bro. Or I'm gonna have to cut up out here now. But yeah, man, I don't think there's any much more I can express of how much David Tepper is just a bad owner, and this shit just trickled downward, and this is what we're seeing.
Okay, you say you gotta go now in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm finna slide now, big dog.
Okay. Hey, man, I'm glad you were able to jump in. I mean, I know you just got off work at 9:00, so I appreciate you jumping in. As always, the fans, they always like to hear from you. So handle your business. I'm gonna get through the rest of this and wrap it on up, man. And I'll catch you in the chat, bro.
All right, brother. Y'all have a good night, man. I love you, man.
All right, love you too, bro.
Bye, bro.
All right. So it's just me, folks. So, but yeah, man, this article is just skate that I done read it like 3 or 4 times already, and it still opens my eyes every time I read it here. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of Tepper having these weekly meetings with the head coach on every Tuesday. I just think that's being too much. Under Mr. Richardson, I can't count the number of times even saw him have a press conference, or anything. So definitely a change on that. And this part of the article I'm reading here says league sources said Tepper struggled with the decision to fire Wright, but the combination of Young's difficult understanding of Wright's offense, specifically the reads, timing, and ball placement, as well as Young's lack of protection, convinced the owner that the organization wasn't helping its quarterback, but ruining him. So, man. And, one of the things that surfaced out of this article is that, the coaching staff, particularly on the offensive side, that was assembled was a lot of, well-known, well-established different, coaches and throughout the league, players that were assembled. And, it was kind of dubbed like an all-star staff, heading into the season because of all the experience and things like that, from Jim Caldwell being named special offensive assistant, advisor, Deuce Staley, running back coach, Sean Jefferson being a wide receiver coach with his son Van Jefferson in the league. Yeah, man. I mean, it was, we really felt like that this staff was going to have it. But when you got a lot of people who have proven success in different ways altogether, you're going to have different ideas, and there's going to be some clashing here. And I think that one of the things by David Tepper telling Wright to think outside the box with his coaching hires, his assistants, that may have, and I'm just saying may have, caused there to be, rips as far as, communication and having a general consensus on how to develop this offense, how to develop Bryce Young, because we're not having any problems significantly on the defense outside of injuries. Evero was allowed, defense coordinator Evero, he was allowed to pick who he wanted on his staff. He didn't have to think outside the box. And as you guys see, our defensive unit, in spite of injuries, has been solid, if not sometimes, pretty good. Outside of the two back-to-back 40 burgers, week 5 against the Detroit Lions and week 6 against the Miami Dolphins, our defense has, played extremely well, even with the lack of a consistent pass rush. Some bend but don't break type of mentality. But our defense has definitely put us in a position to win. Like if we could have just scored 21, 24 points, man, we'll easily be first in the division. Like instead of 1-11, I could see us being like possibly 8-3, worse 7-4 if we just scored 21, 24 points in all of our games, which at one point, we didn't think was good enough, But yeah, but I definitely think that this assortment of coaches on the offensive side, even though their resumes look good, it wasn't a good mix. Like that, like that old saying goes, everything that looks good ain't good for you. And I really feel like that was the case here with the Panthers staff. So let me get to some of you guys' comments here. I've been, showing them at the bottom while me and Monty was discussing. Let me go back here. All right, let me go to here. A lot of y'all was saying, hey, good evening here, but we got Brent Smith here. He said, I had mentioned on a few posts, I thought that how there were too many shelves in the kitchen, but this is all another level. Brent, you're absolutely right. This is definitely a crazy historic level of dysfunction amongst the coaching staff. He also said, then he gets pushed 20 yards back anyways with pressure instantly. Yes, a lot of pressure comes, up the middle, at Bryce Young. That's because of the revolving door at our guard spots. It's just been crazy. But we're gonna get into the blocking schemes here in just a moment, because there was some things said by some players that in this article that's going to back up and support what me and Smooth, have been saying for the longest. And a lot of y'all, some people been arguing against us, but players coming out and saying it. We got Josh here saying that's crazy. They didn't work on Bryce's mechanics until week 12. What were they doing? Yeah, things like mechanics, footwork. That's stuff that's got to be done consistently over a long period of time. Stuff like that is where it's worked on in the off season. In March, April, and May before OTAs. That's when a lot of these players are supposed to get with, outside, gurus and, people who specialize in their particular position, like the Willie Andersons of the world, the Duke Manyweather of the world, these guys, Mike Wall here, with his process to perform, like the players have avenues to work on their footwork. I've personally have been tagging Ike Ekwonu with Willie Anderson because he, has reached out to us through the inbox on I don't know if it was, I think it was on Instagram, I think through Smooth, that he would like to work with Ike Ekwonu on, straightening out his footwork and his mechanics, because he's convinced that he's got, that Ike has all the athleticism and the tools, but he relied too much on his athleticism, and his inconsistent footwork is what's getting him in trouble, but he feel like he can fix it. So things like footwork, that's done in the offseason because you got to do it thousands of times over and over so that your body, our bodies become creature of habit. Trying to do it during a practice week when you ain't got but so much time, to work on footwork, and then you got to put in the actual practice and game plan, it's not really going to be a solid fix for you, This next comment here, that sounds like Tepper had a snoot with feeding him info. I definitely agree. I mean, Brent Smith says, if you ask our fan base, Bryce does nothing correct. Yeah, man. It's the amount of dislike and hate and blame thrown to Bryce Young is absurd. But if you defend Bryce Young, you're a apologist. You're a Bryce boy. It's calling a spade a spade. It's taking in everything, because I notice it's the people that's criticizing the hardest is the most are the ones that either A, wanted CJ Stroud, or B, they got this complex about Bryce Young because of his height, because of his weight, and they just simply don't like him because he's not the prototypical quarterback size. So, anything outside winning the Super Bowl is going to take to win them over. So I get it. Longtime friend here, Sue Prangley Kimmel says, guess we know now why Evero or Brown didn't want the interim job. What a cluster. I'll add the other part to that, Sue, clusterfuck. That's exactly what it is. But I think that Tabor being the interim coach is smart because it allows Evero to focus on the defense. It allows Thomas Brown to focus mostly on the offense. Josh says, I agree, Monty Fitt needs to be next. I think most of us feel that way. Scott Fitter needs to be gone. All right, me and Monty talked about this. Let's get to some other people here. We got Brenda Carfetz. Excuse me, I messed that up. Norris. It's definitely insulting. Brian Taylor Williams. Shit is sad, bro. We got a solid. We all got sold a lot in the offseason. Yeah, we definitely did, Brian. We definitely were given some beans in the offseason. We got Panther Blue here saying, let's see here. Will be interesting to see if Parks Frazier does a better job than Josh McCown with Bryce Young as both passing coordinator now and QB coach. I hope we see progress before the season ends. Yeah, I'm hoping for that as well. Bill Spire said, so even after the person article, I saw photos of both of the Teppers on the field watching practice today. Dude, this guy is such a cancer to his franchise and nothing we can do. Yeah. So for all the gripes, no matter how legit they are about Tepper's not selling the team, folks. We're better using our breath to hope that he gets it right and he learns from his mistakes and sits the fuck down somewhere and, get someone that he can trust to run the football operations. I just think that he's getting in his own way a lot. He, like I said, like Monty said earlier, his intentions are good, exactly what we need. But he's just going about it the wrong way, and he's figuring out on his own as an owner. But it just depends on how much pride he got to understand and recognize that, hey, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Maybe I need to sit back and just chill. Matt Strand says, we can't even tell if Bryce is going to be good or not. They effed up the season so much. I agree. But, you got fans already saying, oh, Bryce is a bust. Bryce is not an NFL-ready quarterback. All kind of nonsense. It's just absurd what folks are saying. But like I said, when it's not your guy, you're open to criticize and speak, nonsense at any chance you get. But, you believe it. So to you, it's like the truth. So that's all the comments so far. So let me get back to this article here. So again, as I was mentioning before, with all the coaches in that mix, it seems that once Tabor took over, it says after Tepper named Tabor interim coach last week, one of Tabor's first moves was to fire quarterbacks coach Josh McCown and running back coach Deuce Staley, who was on the Philadelphia staff with Wright in 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Staley was still with the Eagles 2 years later when McCown played for the team. So right there, to me, it just seems that for whatever reason, Tabor saw fit that Josh McCown and Deuce Staley needed to go. Now, again, we can speculate on what was said, the reasons why, but obviously the difference of opinions is what I feel like caused that to lead up to that decision. All right, let's see here. Let's see. It says some in Carolina thought that Wright and McCown weren't tough enough on Young as the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama got off to a bumpy start. Wright, Fitter, and the offensive coaches decided the priority before Young's first season was preparing him to call plays in the huddle for the first time and giving him time to absorb a playbook that blended Wright's system with wide zone concepts Brown had brought from the Los Angeles Rams. Any tweaks or changes the Panthers wanted to make Young's mechanics would wait until the offseason. That right there is very, very important piece of information that was revealed. So it seems like that the plan for this year for Bryce Young was to have him call plays in the huddle instead of, getting the signals from the sideline like he was used to college at Alabama. And this playbook that I'm going to get into is a little bit description of it down a little bit later in this article of Wright's system in Indianapolis, along with Brown's system with the Rams. And as you know, it says here, Bryce Young been sacked 44 times, on pace to finish with 64, which will be the fourth highest total in NFL history. So for a lot of y'all that had a lot of concerns, say what you want. If nothing else, Bryce Young has shown that he's durable. You've seen all these other quarterbacks around the league who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 225, 230, 240 in some cases. They're out for the season, Another part here, going back to talking about Young's footwork, it says, after Tepper delivered a message to do something about it, McCown began working with Young on his footwork before the Panthers' Week 12 game at Tennessee, 3 months into the season. Remember, the plan was to work on this after the season. It says veteran backup quarterback Andy Dalton said Young's dropbacks were among the teaching points during the Panthers' Thanksgiving week practices. One source said he didn't notice much change in Young's dropbacks against the Titans, who had 4 sacks and 6 hits on Young in a 17-10 loss that dropped the Panthers to a league worst 1-10. As he left the visitors' locker room in Nashville, a visibly irritated Tepper shook his head and yelled, "Fuck!" So, once again, the agreed-upon plan by General Manager Scott Fitterer, head coach Frank Wright, and other offensive coaches was, we'll work on Bryce Young's mechanics in the offseason. Let's just get him to know this playbook, calling plays in the huddle. Let's get him working. We'll work on that in offseason. But Tepper made it a point to where they started working on it 3 months into the season. I don't get that. Don't get that at all. Got another comment here. Fitter has been MIA and your owner is down on the practice field. That's insane. And the problem in a nutshell, Panthers blue, I totally agree. The reports is, Fitterer has not been given any reassurance that he'll be back for 2024 as of this point. So we'll see how that plays out. Steve Kitchen says, what assistant coach went to Fitterer and then to Tepper? Again, we can only speculate, but, names were protected in this article. So, that's just an unknown factor. And Bill, Spires, I see your comment. I'm going to get to your comment when we get to this that part of the article here. Okay, so here's the part of the article that really hit home for me because it was something that we had noticed on film early. And it says here, Wright, who turned 62 on Monday, would often use the phrase diversity of thought when describing his staff. But trying to incorporate Brown's ideas into his system, featuring shotgun sets and a horizontal stretch pass game, proved to be clunky. Now, this is one of the anonymous people in the Panthers organization. It says one staffer, so someone on the coaching staff said, it's just not a good offense. You didn't see Indy's offense when they were second in the league in rushing in 2021. That is correct. When Frank Wright was coach in Indianapolis coach, they had a very strong running game. They ran a lot of 12 personnel, 21 personnel, 22 personnel. So they definitely were doing things that we have not seen in Carolina. So that was the Indianapolis offense up there. It was a lot more power, gap type run game that there was running, but get down here and we're doing zone. Get into that here in just a second. It says you didn't see Philly when he was there or when he was with the Chargers and those dynamic offenses. You didn't see any of that. But it says here but in many league circles, so these are the people out in the league that's commenting, including talent evaluators with other teams, question where Fitterer surrounded Young with enough playmakers after the general manager sent DJ Moore to Chicago as part of the deal for the first pick. The Panthers are 13-33 since Scott Fitterer arrived in 2021, a .283 winning percentage that is tied with the Bears for the worst mark over that span. Fitterer has been given no assurance about his future in Charlotte, according to a league source. Hey, this is something a lot of us fans have been screaming to the top of our lungs on social media. Bryce Young has made some mistakes, but he's far away not the biggest problem. The lack of separation by wide receivers is constantly talked about by not only the TV commentators and the analysts that's doing the game, but on the different sporting networks, on ESPN, on NFL, NFL Game Day. It's just a talking point of how the Carolina Panthers, don't have not only the type of playmakers, but the type of scheme to make this offense effective the way we thought it would be. So, and a lot of that falls on the head of Fitter, who I defended before the season started because I felt like since Matt Rule had the final say in his contract, what happens in 2023 would be all on Fitter, and so far, it's a train wreck. All right, this part is talking about, Wright turned the play calling over to Thomas Brown. who coached running backs and tight ends with the Rams, but never called plays. Okay. Okay, so here's another key point in the article. It says Wright's reversal. Let me go back up here to. Okay, it says the heat was turned up on Wright with the Athletic reporting after the game against the Bears that ownership needed to see more progress on offense. Wright was getting the message as well. On Monday, following the Week 10 loss at Chicago, Wright announced that he would be calling plays again. Wright's reversal further divided the offensive staff, with one assistant saying that was shocking. After seeing Young play well in hurry-up mode at the end of a couple of lopsided losses earlier in the season, Wright wanted to use more no-huddle offense and thought he was better equipped than Brown to run it. In Wright's first game back as play caller, a 33-10 loss to Dallas, the Panthers finished with a season-low 187 yards, and Young was sacked 7 times. In fairness, the Cowboys are one of the top 5 in the league in yards and points allowed and ranked 7th in sacks. The wounds from Wright's reversal on play calling haven't healed yet. When asked last week about Wright's impact on him, Brown called it a loaded question before adding he was fortunate for the opportunity Wright gave him. Wow. That right there says a whole lot. When Thomas Brown said that's a loaded question, he wanted to speak respectful of the coach that gave him an opportunity to be a coordinator. But obviously you can tell that taking the play calling away from him really not only affected Thomas Brown, but affected the other coaches on the staff as well. It was not a popular decision from what I'm gathering here. So we got a mixed offensive scheme. We got play calling being, going back and forth. I mean, it's no wonder we're 1-11. It really is. It's really not a surprise at all whatsoever. So let me get back up to some of these comments here. Panther Blue said maybe coaches went to Fitter and Tepper because Frank wasn't listening to them. I tend to believe that as well, Panther Blue. We all heard, this is Josh. He says, we all heard before the season that the playbook was huge, but then it felt like the same 10 plays over and over. Something doesn't make sense. Josh, you're hitting the nail right on the head. It seems like we run 11 personnel, and for those of you guys who don't know, 11 personnel is one running back, one tight end, that's where the 11 comes from, and 3 wide receivers. We run that more than anyone else in the league at about 92% of the game. So the lack of, changing up different personnel groupings is why defenses are able to have so much success, because we're so predictable on offense. Teams know just play your different nickel sub packages all week. Just know that, you ain't got to worry about no deep threats, so we can jump on anything underneath. So that's one of the reasons why, with our wide receivers not getting separation and with our offensive line, having this issues pass protect, and then the ball got to come out quick. That's why Bryce Young's, at numbers are so pedestrian. So, but like I said, it's plenty of blame to go around. Joshua Hildreth says, Tepper's the issue in Charlotte with 2 different teams and is blatantly obvious. Hey, 0 lies told there. Bill Spires said, I heard somewhere that Federer is Tepper's boy / yes man. No way Tepper whacks his boy. That's a possibility, Bill. We'll see. Brenda says Pittsburgh got it right. Sure, they definitely did. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, at Pittsburgh in what 15 years now? Like, it's crazy. Josh again says Tepper wants a dude that are yes daddy people and don't want to accept that he is the issue. It's really looking that way. It's hard to dispute that fact. Matt Crinkley says, can you guys mention a few moves that Fitter has gotten right? Because I can't think of any at all. Signing Frankie Louvu, that would be a good move. Cornerback Troy Hill, that would be a good move that he made. That's all I can come up with off the top of my head. Which on that he's made a few, but definitely not with the rate of success that we thought and we hoped. Here we go. Bill Spire says Matt Crinkley, maybe Thielen, but that's it. Oh, and he got Hubbard in the 4th round. So yeah, so that's 4 moves right there. Frankie Louvu, Troy Hill, the cornerback, Thielen, and Chuba Hubbard. Dallas is a legit defense. I agree, Joshua. The only person who ever has had a final say is Tepper, not Rule or Fitterer. And O-line problems are directly result on wrong players for a new scheme. Only Corbett was familiar with the scheme. Panther Blue, you are reading my mind. I was actually about to get to that part of this article, so let me jump back on it. Here's something that I mentioned that me and Monty mentioned earlier. The Panthers' defensive assistants, nearly all of whom had worked with Evero previously, have been more aligned according to sources. So Evero was allowed to get his own guys. All right, I'm gonna read through some of this, y'all guys, so just bear with me. It says, but that has not been the case on the offensive side. At one point, several coaches wanted to bench Young in favor of Dalton, who had the Panthers' only 300-yard passing game when Young missed Week 3 at Seattle with an ankle injury. But those conversations never reached Wright, Fitterer, or ownership, according to high-ranking team sources. Other coaches felt they couldn't voice their opinions without being viewed as malcontents. Several sources said Wright would call out Young for his mistakes during the team-wide film reviews, as he did other players early in the season, but backed off in recent weeks with Young's confidence in mind. You can coach a player hard, said one staffer, without killing his spirit. But one player said it wasn't Wright's nature or coaching style to be overly critical of any player or position group. Now, here's the fun part that I'm ready to get to here. It says there have also been issues with scheme fits. Okay. Now, Thomas Brown, the offense coordinator background, is with the Rams mid-zone and wide zone runs, which weren't a great match for some of the Panthers' offensive linemen. Right guard Austin Corbett ran the scheme during 3 seasons in LA, including the Rams Super Bowl season of 2021. But Corbett missed the first 6 games of this year while recovering from an ACL surgery, and then injured his MCL in the same knee against Dallas Week 11 and was lost for the season. Here we go. Center Bradley Bozeman conceded his more brute, so Bradley didn't mind putting his name out there. He didn't want to be hit, so he's speaking directly from the heart. He's saying that his more bruising skill set wasn't ideal for the wide zone, is best suited for quicker linemen who can occupy defensive alignment early in the play and then get to the second level. He says, running downhill is what I love to do, Bozeman said. That's why I've made my money on. Unfortunately, we didn't have many opportunities to do that. So that goes to show that when the Panthers against Tampa Bay this past week, y'all saw how much more effective our running game got as the game grew on. Now, I know the stats would say we averaged 3.9 yards a carry. That's because, we had I think it was like 35 carries for 100 and I believe it was 33 yards or something like that. But it seemed like several times, particularly in the second half, we could run the ball and get what we needed, 4 or 5 yards at a time. And a lot of that was the Panthers going back to power gap blocking schemes. If you guys followed the podcast with me on Monday, I showed you that the Panthers ran a season high 17 power gap run plays and ran 17 of these zone stretch plays. And it was a lot of times that the yardage that we picked up Sunday versus Tampa Bay came when we ran those power gap running schemes. So, again, the power gap running schemes is the same thing that we saw, under former interim head coach Steve Wilkes, us lining up running downhill, knocking people off the ball, and again, just to give you guys the difference, a power gap run scheme or running play, that's one where the ball is designed for the running back to go to a specific hole, either the A gap between the center and the guard on either side, the B gap between the guard and the tackle, the C gap between the tackle and the tight end, or the D gap, which is like a sweep play outside. So those type of plays, because when the linemen fire off the ball, they're firing, like Bradley Bowe said, downhill. We're moving straight ahead. We're double teaming these defensive tackles, moving them out the way, and getting up to linebackers or whatever. But now when we're doing these zone plays, all the linemen either step together to the left or they step together to the right, and whoever defender is in that hole, they try to block them and let the running back find a crease in the find a crease. So that's the difference between power gap and zone blocking plays here, just to let you guys know. So just to give you some ideas here on what the difference is. Another thing here, it says Wright experimented in training camp with putting Young under center, which Young did infrequently in college. Some concepts that might have helped negate an opponent's pass rush, including play action passes, are more effective when the quarterback is under center. But when the season started, Wright, Jim Kelly's backup in the Bills' K-gun offense during the 1990s, had Young lined up in either pistol and shotgun sets almost exclusively. All right. But now, 7 of the first 13 plays against Tampa Bay, he was up under center. As it says right here, it says with Brown back calling plays Sunday in the 21-18 loss at Tampa, Young was under center for 7 of the Panthers' first 13 first quarter plays, but the familiar issue soon resurfaced. Young was sacked 4 times and threw an interception on his final pass to end any comeback hopes. Man, this article just continues to just pour in on what a lot of us have been saying on the different social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Twitter. Let me get back to some of you guys' comments here. Matt Crinkley says, Chuba isn't exactly great. No one called him great. He's just been effective. Thielen is old as fuck. Yeah, but he's got the best hands in the league. He hasn't had a drop all year. So is Troy Hill, but he's been like our most consistent, solid cornerback. So really, Frankie Louvu, what a complete disaster this team has been. All right, Bill Spire says, so hearing that Nicole Tepper was at practice several weeks ago monitoring the offensive line makes my head explode. Of the other 31 teams, how many owners' wives come to supervise the offensive line? Enraging. I agree with you, Bill. I totally agree. Just doing too damn much. Panther Blue says, when Frank said he didn't play Smash Mouth, the first question he did tell let me see. When Frank said that he didn't play Smash Mouth, first question is, did he tell Fitterer that? Because the O-line was built for Smash Mouth. To play wide zone, you need more mobile center like Kelsey. Talking about Jason Kelsey, the All-Pro center for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, you're exactly right about that. Yeah, my thing is when Frank Wright was hired, before he put his playbook together, you saw the film of all the players that were under contract that were coming back here. And when you looked at the offensive line and saw that all 5 were returning back, that should have been a sign for you to know that our success came from running power gap, schemes. But no, these coaches have egos, so they wanted to, implement their scheme. A great coach would take a scheme and adjust it to his players, not force his players to adjust to the scheme. You want players doing what comes natural and easy and comfortable for them. So, just mind-numbing. But yeah, Panther Blue, that's a good question, what kind of conversations Frank Wright had with Scott Fitterer before free agency and the draft started for him to make this, because, he drafted Zavala in the draft, who runs power gap, him and Icky were neck and neck for the pancake bottles that they had at North Carolina State. For every time they got a pancake block, both of them were always 1 and 2. So I get it, so that's definitely a good question. Got Tyree Ross here. Say, what's going on, Kev? Not much. Just talking about this article by the Athletic today. And Josh says, great breakdown of power gap versus zone line play, Kev. Hey, you definitely much appreciated. Glad you like. I just want to make sure that when fan hears these terms, they can picture and visualize what I'm saying instead of just constantly seeing these words or terms tossed around. So let's get back to this article here. It says here, Wright's effort to boost Young's confidence, some players viewed as overprotectiveness, continued through what turned out to be Wright's final offensive play with the Panthers at Tennessee. Trailing by 7 and facing a 4th and 6 at the 2-minute warning, Young saw the Titans line up in what he believed to be cover 0, which is man coverage with no deep defender. And so Bryce Young checked to a wide receiver screen to DJ Chalk. Chalk caught the ball 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage and was tackled for no gain by safety Amani Hooker, allowing the Titans to reclaim possession and run out the clock. After the game, Wright said that it was the right check by Young and that Chalk might have gotten too far behind the line of scrimmage. A clearly agitated Chalk, remember that, insisted that the Titans were not in cover 0 and that the Panthers should have stuck with the original play call. And it says here that a former NFL head coach who didn't want to reveal who he was agreed, saying that the Titans fooled Young into thinking they were in cover 0 before dropping their backside safety to the post area. That the post-game spotlight fell on one of the receivers was not a new development. The group's difficulties getting open has been a season-long narrative. So, once again, that play calling at the end of the Tennessee game where Bryce Young audibled to that screen pass. So, by Bryce Young being a rookie, the Tennessee defense coordinator, he pulled out a trick. He made it look like cover 0, like there's nobody back deep. And technically, with experience, you can be able to tell the difference of if it's actually cover 0 or if they're bluffing. So I'm going to go on the side of DJ Chalk here and believe that it wasn't cover 0, which, again, a former NFL coach confirmed that Tennessee was just bluffing that look. So the Panthers should have stayed with their original play. So if you want to blame Bryce Young for that, blame Bryce Young for that. Frank Wright followed up and said it was the right call. So again, it's that disconnect because clearly between head coach, quarterback, and wide receiver, there's some disconnect there because it said a clearly agitated Chalk said that they should have stuck with the original play call. So, I mean, hey, what can you do? You know? Bill Spire says, so where do we go from here? I honestly have never been so pessimistic about the future. Unless Tepper changes, we are doomed. Hey, Bill, Monty feels the same way about you. So, as you do, rather. So until Tepper changes, yeah, it's going to be long. It's going to be long and hard for us Panther fans. Back to you, Panther Blue. It says a great head coach knows you need to transition into new schemes when you're able to add appropriate personnel. Might take a year or two. Exactly. This team tried to change too much overnight. Hey, Panther Blue, you are spot on. I mean, you're really, I agree with you 100% right there. We got Omar Barrett said, Kev, I agree with the lack of play calling by Wright, but you can't teach Bryce college stuff when the opponent is teaching grown NFL stuff. Young got to grow up. He's in a pro now. Of course, that goes with any rookie quarterback. Every rookie quarterback has struggled mightily their first year, when they started as a rookie. So I totally agree. And again, I'm not absolving Bryce Young of anything like he gets a free pass. He doesn't. I'm just saying that he's at the bottom of the totem pole, in my opinion, of why our offense is struggling. But I totally agree with you. And looks like Panther Blue, Josh agrees with you as well. So let's start to wrap this up here because I'm just not hit the hour mark. Another thing that it says here, it says the offensive problems have persisted all season. The Panthers are averaging 15.9 points a game and haven't topped the 20-point barrier since a 42-21 loss at Miami on October 15th. Bozeman isn't sure whether the problems stem from scheme or personnel. The fact of it is we really didn't score many points this season, he said. We never could execute and get it to that point. All right, so about to wrap up the bottom of this article here. I'm just going to read it, and then we'll wrap it up. It says, the Panthers need someone who can get Young untracked and playing closer to the level of Tennessee's rookie C.J. Stroud, Young's friend and former AAU basketball rival in Southern California. Tepper again is expected to focus his search on coaches with offensive backgrounds, with Detroit Lions offense coordinator Ben Johnson, who counts his interview with the Panthers last year, viewed as a top target. Johnson is a native of Asheville, North Carolina, who played at North Carolina. Go Tar Heels. But it might not be easy to lure him to Charlotte. Some in the Panthers organization, according to lead sources, have been texting Johnson about how complicated it has been to work in Carolina this season. My guess, it would be Deuce Staley who's been texting him. That's just my guess. While Tepper prepares to start another coaching search and Wright, Staley, and McCown contemplate their next move, the players and remaining coaches would try to avoid becoming the first 1 in 16 teams since the NFL adopted a 17-game schedule. I can honestly say I do not think Wright was the sole problem and everything is fixed now. Chart said we still got a lot of stuff we have to fix. So this was the article here that was dropped this morning, and I appreciate Joe Person and what was it, Diane Rossini? Let me go back up here. I want to make sure I get props here. Yep, Joe Person and Diana Rossini for this article. Definitely a great job by them. All right, so let's get to these last couple of comments here. Panther Blue said Bryce needs center or experienced O-lineman to help identify fakes. Again, Kelsey does that for Hurts, which helps him kill plays and adjust. Spot on. Tepper absolutely should not lead the search for a new head coach. His move should be to find someone to run his team. Definitely like a president of football operations, someone that he trusts and who will just let him sit down and him and Nicole just sit in their owner's box and just, leave the rest to everybody else. That's what I hope happens. And Bill says, just alerting everyone that Joe Person will be on WFNZ in the morning at 8:25. I'll make a note of that, Bill. Thank you so much. So, there you have it, Panther fans. That's pretty much it for the article that was dropped that we wanted to come on here and discuss with you. I want to thank each and every one of you fans for joining us tonight. I know mostly it was just me. Monty was on the first part for about 15 minutes before he had to go because he just got off of work. But I definitely, really thank you guys for always rolling with us here at the Four-Man Rush. I know we're one of the newer Panther content creators. We hope that our style, we hope that the way we do things, the way that we break things down and explain it to you guys is really something that you guys look forward to, continue to support. We enjoy what we do. Me and Monty was just talking about, because all of us got full-time jobs, like I drive, 18-wheelers. Monty, I believe he just got promoted to supervisor at his job. Smooth works for Delta as a airplane mechanic. Following up his family legacy here. So all of us here at the Four-Man Rush, we got jobs that really take up a lot of our time, but we enjoy doing it as a hobby. We know that if we could do this full time with you guys, we would be killing it on social media. We're doing a pretty decent, solid job now, but these other content creators ought to be glad that that we all got full-time jobs that take anywhere between 8 to 14 hours out the day, and we're just doing this on the side. So, that's all I'm gonna say about that. No disrespect. We just definitely believe in our knowledge, our content, our delivery, and the way that fans respond to us. Even if we don't always see eye to eye, it's always a certain respect factor. So just want to make sure I point that out. But again, appreciate you guys. Get these last few comments in from Brenda. Thank you, Kev. I appreciate tonight's breakdown. Brenda, you're welcome. Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Joe will be with Dez on Franchise Players on Thursday. All right, Joe Person making his rounds. That's what's up. Panther Blue, thanks, Kev. Good show. Hey, much appreciated. Appreciate your comments, Panthers Blue. Panthers Blue, are you on Twitter by chance? If so, drop your Twitter, your Twitter name. That way can follow you if you got Twitter. But if not, I totally understand. And of course, I'll end with my day one here supporter, Bill Spires. Says, thank you, Country Kev, for being our awesome Panther fan leaders. You are the best, my friend. Bill, 1,000 thank yous. I appreciate that. I really do. So again, thank you all. All right, so it's Wednesday night. Let's see if anything else happens before the game on Sunday. I think there's opportunity to win. There's nothing scaring me about the New Orleans Saints. I think that Derek Carr is hurt, and I think Jameis Winston is going to get the start Sunday. So that could be good and bad. it could be good because Jameis Winston can give away multiple gifts, but it can be bad because when he's locked in and focused, you know, he's thrown over 300 yards on us a couple of times. So, you know, if there was ever time for our pass rush to come alive, this would be the game. So, but, you know, hey, we just got to, you know, it's hate week. It's a divisional rival. What can I say? So, see if we can get this split, you know, see if we can get this split with the rest of the division. We already done lost to everybody. We're 0-3 in the division. Now let's see if we can get a split with the Saints. Then next week, next game at home against the Falcons, split with them. And then the final game of the season at home, split with the Bucks. So, you know, we can finish 3-3 in the division. I'll be very satisfied with that. So. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. But again, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Keep following us on all our different social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, obviously YouTube as well. And, you know, y'all take care. Catch y'all the next time. Keep pounding, and what a rush.